several months ago, you were as healthy as a man about to be 70 could be.
Yes.
This is an adjustment.
It is. You know, I was running around like a kid. You know, I didn't feel like, 70 years old. And I was doing whatever I wanted to do. I was doing gardening and I was doing things around the house. All of a sudden, my world just turns upside down.
He is near and dear to Twins fans everywhere, and we are very happy that he is with us here this morning.
Rod Carew, perhaps baseball's finest hitter.
Rod Carew won 7 batting titles, all of them as a Minnesota Twin.
Just more pure hitting talent than anyone has seen in a long, long time.
He was inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame as a Minnesota Twin.
At first glance, there was nothing strange about the reception that Rod Carew got last month at Twins Fest, an annual fan convention in Minnesota. After all, Carew's great career as one of baseball's most gifted hitters, along with his warm and friendly demeanor, had made him one of the most popular players in Twins history. But the cheers that day weren't just for Carew's Hall of Fame career. They were also for the simple fact that Rod Carew is still alive.
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
I think everybody knows that 2015 was a very successful year for the Twins on the field, and we know that in late September they were fighting for a playoff spot. What we didn't know was that a very dear friend was fighting for his life.
How are you?
Good, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Glad you're doing better, Rod.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are very happy to welcome him back to Minnesota and welcome back home Rod Carew. Rod, let's let you tell the story of what happened late September when you were going out to play a round of golf.
I don't know if I can, but without breaking up, but I'll try.
Rod, take me back to the day, last September. You're on the golf course, you're feeling fine, and then what happens?
Thought I'd go out and hit some golf balls, play 3 balls, and get some practice in.
You're playing by yourself?
By myself. And so I hit the first ball off the tee, it was down the middle, and all of a sudden I had a burning in my chest. And then my hands started getting clammy. So that was like the first signs of anything. And I remembered what this friend of mine told me. He had this funny feeling in his chest and found out that he had a blockage. So he told me about it. He said, if you ever feel anything funny in your chest, go to the doctor right away.
So what'd you do? Went to the clubhouse?
Went back to the clubhouse, laid on the floor, propped my legs up, told the lady, call the paramedics right now.
And it turns out you're having a massive heart attack.
It turns out I'm having a widowmaker, which I shouldn't have survived.
Widowmaker is shorthand for a blockage of the left anterior descending coronary artery, one of the most serious and potentially fatal heart attacks a person can suffer. And for Rod Carew, in that harrowing moment, lying on the floor in that clubhouse, his thoughts went to his daughter, Michelle, who passed away 20 years ago at the age of 18 after a battle with leukemia.
You know, I'm laying there and they're working on me. And I remember I was in Michelle's room when she was in the hospital. And she looked at me and she says, Dad, you can't see this, but there's a guardian angel over in the corner with this bright light around it. Well, when I looked down at the one paramedic, he had this bright light going around him with the two paddles in his hands, getting ready to shock me. And then that was it. I was gone. I was out.
And according to Steve Rushin's story in Sports Illustrated, those doctors with the paddles were saying, at least you could hear them saying, we're losing him. We're losing him.
Yes, yes. I'm looking at this guy. He has two paddles in his hands. There's this bright light around just him, not around anybody else in the room that day. And he's yelling at them, we're losing him, goddammit, we're losing him. Let's go, let's go. And that was it.
And you don't remember much of what happened after that.
After that, everything else was blank.
Next thing you know, you're in the hospital.
I'm in the emergency room, and I'm awake, and I asked if they'd call my wife because I'd given them the number. And then I went through it again. They had to paddle me because they lost me for the second time.
You mentioned your daughter, Michelle, who 20 years ago passed away. She had leukemia. She was waiting a long time for a bone marrow transplant. So what you described was her experience, what she saw and what she described to you just before she passed.
Right. Yeah, and it's just strange, you know. And so that's where my mind went back to her. And I guess I did have a guardian angel that day because I wasn't supposed to survive.
Rhonda, what were your first thoughts when you were this close to losing Rod?
Well, my heart absolutely dropped to start with. And I don't even know if it's really sunk in yet what he has gone through, what it's been like, you know, since September. It's been quite a journey.
Carew spent 7 weeks in the hospital recovering. But after a period that was touch and go, he was able to return to his home here in Southern California in late December. Now, he's dependent on machinery to keep his heart going.
I just want to welcome you guys to my daily routine. People might see me walking down the street and wondering what's going on with all these wires.
Basically, it's a temporary mechanical heart until the heart transplant comes about, right?
Right.
So Rod had that widowmaker, the damage had been done. So a heart transplant is often what occurs, but he was so unstable that it was felt that he couldn't wait that long to get a heart transplant. And so the LVAD is used, it's implanted surgically.
This is honey. This is a bag that I named after my wife. I've got another computer part in there, and also 2 batteries that always charge. This unit here is my wall unit, which when I go to bed at night, instead of having the batteries, I plug this into a couple different lines that I have and would make me sleep, you know, comfortably. When you hear, that means emergency. I'm bionic right now, Bob. And it's just something I'm gonna have to get used to until I get a new heart.
Number 29,
Rodney was something special.
He could do things a lot of people just simply couldn't do.
That year that he stole home plate 7 times.
he's safe at the plate. A great move.
He had that magic wand, as everybody used to call it.
The magic wand.
The ball looked like the eyes.
It isn't sorcery, just pure hitting talent.
He flirted with 400 one year.
Carew, base hit center field.
You never could fool him. You never could outthink him.
Just a complete player, a winner, created a lot of frustration. I know that from playing third base against him for many games.
Base hit, there's number 3,000 for Carew.
He was always a joy to watch.
Yeah, created a lot of good memories for me.
For nearly 2 decades, Rod Carew was one of the game's greatest players. Whether with the Twins or later the Angels, it seemed there was nothing he couldn't do on a baseball diamond. Now, after his heart attack in September, life is drastically different. The 70-year-old needs a new heart. When his health improves, Carew will be put on a transplant waiting list.
I think in a couple months, then I can get a new heart. But they were waiting to make sure that my kidneys and my liver is okay. And once they get the okay that everything is fine, then a couple months they put me on the list, and hopefully I'll get a new heart to continue living.
Long about the time that you were breaking in as a rookie with the Minnesota Twins, the whole idea of a heart transplant was front page news. It was a revolutionary procedure. It's still tricky. There's no guarantees, but it's more routine than it used to be. So you have reason to be optimistic in the hands of good doctors that this will be successful and you'll be able to resume your life, assuming they can line you up with the right donor.
Yes, I am, because I've met some of the patients that have gone through this and that have gotten hearts, and they said they're living life just like they were before.
But in terms of donor for your heart transplant, you're okay. When the moment is right and when the stars align, you're going to get it, right?
Hopefully. Hopefully. Someone mentioned that to me, says, well, maybe they'll give you a 21-year-old heart. I said, yeah, maybe I can use it to go back and try and get some more base hits. I guess when the time comes and as you said, Bob, the stars align, they will find a heart for me.
It's mentally taxing to be on the waiting list. It's frightening because you don't know what the next day is going to bring. But for Rod, who's very calm and focused and has these, the positive outlook.
Oh, you guys move out of the way.
He has a good social support system with Rod and then the family. So Rod has all the components you need.
We're on a family trip now.
How long would he have to wait? It's really hard to know, but most patients are transplanted within 9 months. But could it be longer? Yes.
In a sense, you've been through something like this twice. You did it with your daughter, Michelle, some 20 years ago. She was only 18 when she passed away. Now you're waiting so that maybe you can be saved. It's twice in a lifetime to deal with it.
It is. And I'm thankful because I feel like I'm blessed. I used Michelle to help save other kids' lives.
Because you helped to set up a bone marrow registry.
Registry and people getting involved in the registry. And so now I'm going to use this in hopes that I can save other people's lives. And so far I've been fortunate because I know I've saved one life, and that's Clyde Wright's.
Well, Clyde Wright has come on to pitch, born in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Clyde Wright is a former big league pitcher who spent 10 years in the majors. When Clyde heard of his friend's story, it moved him to take action.
When I heard that Rod, had the heart attack, I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. I'm older than Rod. Rod's in pretty good shape. Now, I'm thinking, well, maybe I better go, have mine checked and all this stuff. And you put it off a day or two here and there. So finally I went and had it done. They were all blocked. They were 90% blocked. And I looked at him and I said, you have got to be, and I can't say the words that I said, because it just shocked me, that I've got to have open heart surgery. And the thing I couldn't understand, I didn't feel bad. And I can't think of anything that would even, hint that I was going to have a heart attack, when they're blocked like that. So thank goodness I'd have been right behind him, because there was no way that I'd have gone and had mine checked if something hadn't happened to Rod. It's, you can't say it that you're glad something happened to Rod because it saved you, that doesn't make sense, you know, but it actually happened.
It's a great feeling. His wife called Rod and says, tell Rod thanks, you know, because he just saved Clyde's life.
Now, of all the trouble he's got, he takes time to call me in the hospital. Now, I'm 50 times better off than he is, right? In my opinion. And yet he has the time to call me. It makes you feel pretty damn good.
Where are we headed? Hi, guys.
The Twins have been blessed to have a number of really singular personalities that have meant a lot to the team, but there's no one that means more to the Twins than Rod Carew.
Less than 6 months after his nearly fatal heart attack, Rod Carew went to Minneapolis to be part of Twins Fest. It was Carew's first public appearance since that fateful day in September.
So glad you're doing better, Rod.
Thank you. Thank you.
Morning, Rod.
Hi, guys. It's always good to come back. You know, it's like home, you know, like my second home. People are really good to me here and always acknowledge me. Hey!
How are you?
Good, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
How you feeling? Good.
Hey.
How are you, brother?
Good.
You look good, man.
Yeah, feel good. Feel good.
Do you?
Yeah.
Ready to throw batting practice in?
I'm ready to do flips and the whole works.
Rod Carew is a big thing for Minnesota Twins. Minnesota Twins love Rod Carew.
There isn't a better representation than Rod Carew for this Minnesota Twins club.
You can look at his numbers, his baseball numbers are unbelievable, but what he does in the community is bigger.
It's a real honor to meet you.
The one thing about Minnesota fans, they remember people that left an impact on the organization that they played for. Rod's been a great ambassador for the Twins for, you know, many, many years.
You want to shake his hand. You want to talk with him. You want to say, how you doing? Hey, man.
Glad to see you're okay, sir. It's
Thank you.
a pleasure to meet you.
I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you.
You're a fantastic player in person.
Thanks so
I
much.
appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw him today for the first time since last season, and you know, just gave him a big hug.
Hey, pal.
Welcome back, man. Good
Thanks,
to see you.
man.
They're keeping you busy this morning, huh?
Yeah.
Getting the word out, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. You know, he's courageous in doing this. He's trying to turn it into a positive by doing what he can to increase education and awareness.
You know, I did it with Michelle. And I want to do it with myself.
The Lord was looking out for you, though, wasn't he?
I should have been dead. It's just crazy. I had no warning. And I'll tell you, the last couple of months have gone through hell.
When we get up here, I don't want you to worry about anything, whether you get emotional or not, because that's people understand and they love you. And I know you will love them back. Okay?
I'll try.
Well,
don't make me cry,
no,
okay?
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
He might cry anyway.
Don't make, I was going to say, don't make me cry. And welcome to the 2016 Twins Fest. I think everybody knows that 2015
I can't do this
was
by
a
myself.
very successful year for the Twins on the field.
We'll try.
What we didn't know was that a very dear friend was fighting for his life. We are very happy to welcome back home Rod Carew.
First of all, it's always good to come home. People here in the Twin Cities have always treated me with such respect, and I appreciate that because I appreciated playing here for the 12 years that I was in the Twins organization.
Rod, let's let you tell the story of what happened late September when you were going out to play a round of golf.
I don't know if I can, but without breaking up, but I'll try.
Rod Carew ended up telling his story many times over the course of the day, struggling through it with the thought that he was sending a message about the importance of heart health.
I became a baby all over again. You know, I had people dressing me. I cried every single day that I was in that damn hospital, like I'm crying right now. And I'm not afraid to cry in front of people anymore. I was fortunate that my friend upstairs gave me a second chance. He didn't feel like I had done enough. And that's why I want people to now hear my voice and take better care of themselves. I think that's what's important. You're welcome. Write something good about the American Heart Association.
Great to see you, my friend. God's blessings to you.
Thank
and
you.
Enjoy the weekend and enjoy the love of Twins fans.
Well, thanks so much, Dick. It's great to be here. But remember what I said, please go get your heart checked because it's very important. Thank you.
You did great, my friend.
It was great. It was nice to see people I haven't seen in a while. And it was nice for all the well-wishers. Very emotional day.
It's hard to fathom him having a heart attack for me.
Rod, kind of the picture of health as far as someone who's getting up there in years. You know, he's always fit and took good care of himself.
When you hear what he went through, it's very fortunate that we have Rodney with us today.
He knew right away what to do from a physical standpoint. Just like he analyzed his hitting, he analyzed his heart attack.
And he'll battle. He's one of those guys, I'm sure, that he's got a lot more time on this earth to live, and I don't think he wants to leave us now.
People closest to you, your wife Rhonda, your children, your closest friends, that's the nucleus. But when you're a ball player, you've got an extended family. That's hope too, right?
Oh, definitely. You know, I think it's because the way I treated people. A long time ago, I learned from Harmon Killebrew, who was one of my teammates, that it doesn't cost anything to be nice. So treat people nice, and it will always come back to you. And the last couple of months, I have heard from I don't know how many people around the country wishing me well. Not because I was Rod Carew, the baseball player, but because they said that you've done so much to help others and how much they appreciate it. And they hope that they'll keep me in their prayers and hope that things work out for me.
Since people have learned of your condition, what surprised you the most? Or who surprised you the most in terms of reaching out, whether it was an old friend or even a stranger?
Oh boy, I'd say Don Baylor, you know, hurting, walking with a crutch, came to see me. Rene Gonzalez, who I coach, came to see me. Cheadle Davis, Doug the Sensei, Tony Oliva came in from Minneapolis for a couple of days. It's amazing that you keep those relationships going. And they call and check on me all the time. And I appreciate it because I want them to know that I'm doing good and I'm going to be okay. And I appreciate them as friends, you know, thinking about me all the time.
Now, you have to be reliant, sometimes on others for the most simple functions, at least until you're truly back up and running. Have you been able to adjust to that?
You know, it's funny because the first few weeks I was in the hospital, I was like a baby. You know, I was wearing diapers. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't get up out of a chair. I couldn't get up out of the bed. I had to be helped up. And, you know, I felt embarrassed that that was happening to me. But the thing that really helped me and kept me going was Rhonda just kept saying, one day at a time, one day at a time.
He's been throughout his life such a self-assured person and a person who succeeded through his own efforts, his own perseverance. What has the adjustment been like for him to accept that, at least for the time being, he's got to let other people do for him?
It was not easy. It was not easy at all. In fact, I think it's something he's just come to terms with recently.
My left knee is sore.
I mean, even while he was in the different hospitals, he had not come to terms with it. It wasn't until he was actually released and started to kind of just let go, and it was okay to let people help him, and it was okay that he couldn't do it for himself yet, as long as maybe he had an understanding he would be able to soon, but he was going to have to work at it. Baseball came easy. This did not come easy.
Even now, I'm staying close to her because she's my caregiver. And everything that I'm going to go through, she's been there with me. Sometimes when I talk about it, I want to cry.
To the extent that you're comfortable talking about it, you've been married for a long while. You think you know your spouse. What have you learned about him that you didn't know before?
He is an extremely strong person, a very caring individual. But when you see somebody literally on the brink of losing their life, it completely changes all perspective from both sides, him and for me and for the kids. You let go, and the things that used to matter a lot don't matter so much anymore. He was fastidious around this house as far as keeping things neat and clean and the vacuuming and whatnot. Not anymore. Stuff's all over the place. It's driving me crazy. So it's things like that, you know, are no longer of the same level of importance that it seemed like they once were. It's, you know, it's okay to just like enjoy life.
I never played baseball to win honors, but over my career, I was fortunate enough to win many. This is the greatest honor that any player can receive, the ultimate measure of reaching the top of one's profession. One of my first thoughts at being told of my election into the Hall of Fame was the natural awe of being recognized alongside Cobb, Ruth, Gehrig, and Jackie Robinson. But the Hall of Fame is more. It's all the kids who ever played the game. It's all the fans who ever bought a ticket. Thanks all of you for moving over a little and making a space for me in your shrine. Thank you.
In 1991, Rod Carew was inducted into the Hall of Fame, elected in his first year of eligibility. The Panamanian-born Carew won 7 batting titles. Only 3 players in baseball history won more. He was selected to 18 consecutive All-Star games and recorded over 3,000 hits. Rod Carew's greatest year was his MVP season of 1977.
In Minnesota, there's been talk of hitting records, which means talk about Rod Carew, baseball's perfect master with the bat. He makes it look so easy, like swatting summer flies. Carew leads the league in batting average, hits, triples, and pitchers' nightmares. Once again, Master.
That season, Carew had the most hits of anyone in nearly half a century.
Minnesota's Rod Carew, making a lot of baseball history.
And he wound up hitting .388. Of all the guys who have hit 400 in the history of the game. Only one, Ted Williams, was even born in the 20th century. This is nothing against old-timers, but I have to believe that if you, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, George Brett, talking about your contemporaries, if you played under those conditions, all of you guys would have hit 400 a few times, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I definitely, because the guys that you mentioned were great hitters, and they worked at their craft.
You were at 388 in 1977. Handful of hits from 400. Did you think about it that offseason? Did you think about that line drive that was caught, or that blooper that might have dropped in, or why didn't I drop a bunt when the infield was back?
Yeah, I did, because I remember that during the course of that season, I could see infielders moving as the pitcher was getting ready to deliver the ball. And I would hit a ground ball right where they were standing that would go through for a base hit. And so at the end of the season, I came out here to California to play, and it seems like everything that I hit on the nose, but they weren't moving anymore. They were just going right to the infielders. But it's one of those uncanny years that a player goes through, where everything goes right for him. And that was one of those years for me.
When you watch the modern game, and there are so many shifts, you must be saying to yourself, they couldn't do that on me. I just flick it out there and that'd be that. I hit 500.
Well, I just can't see why hitters can't make adjustments.
And Ortiz yanks it into the glove. And the defensive alignment works out.
You know, even if they have to back off the plate a little bit and, you know, bring their hands inside and go to the opposite field. But no one tries it, you know? So they hit a ground ball to the second baseman who's playing right field, and it's just an out.
Talking about hitters making adjustments, you would make adjustments not only within a game, within an at-bat. The count would change and your stance would change. Am I right?
Yeah, that's because it's something that I worked on, an extra hitting. I never wanted pitchers to think they could get me out. So I was always one step ahead of them.
We're coming off an era, a few years removed from it, where it seemed like every game was 9-7, 10-8. Multiple reasons for that, no need to get into it. But now you look at a team like the Kansas City Royals that wins the World Series, resourceful, heads up. They had only 2 home runs in the World Series against the Mets, and one of those was an inside the Parker. You must relate to them a little bit.
Oh, definitely, because, you know, that's the way the game's supposed to be played.
Broken back. Cut off by right. Out, throw home. One, tie the game.
I love the way they play the game. I really do. Moving guys over, allowing the next guy to pick him up, put a little weight on his shoulders, instead of clubs that want to hit the home runs all the time and end up leaving guys in scoring position.
And very often when you get into the playoffs, even if you've got a powerful lineup, now you're facing uncommonly good pitchers, and with off days, you're facing them a higher percentage of the time, and very often the teams that can't move runners, or can't get the 2-out single, or can't take the extra base, or can't bunt, they're in trouble. They're not in trouble in July, but they're in trouble in October.
That's true, Bob, and if you don't do it in April, May, June, when you get to September, you're not going to be able to do it because you haven't, you know, worked at it, you haven't practiced it. So how are you going to do it?
Carew also sparked a 9th-inning rally by stealing the toughest of them all, home plate, and he did it for the 17th time.
Tell me about the art of stealing home, which is almost a lost art. And I'm talking about the straight steal of home, not the double steal if they throw through. The straight steal of home. You, Jackie Robinson, back in the day, Ty Cobb.
Well, that became part of my game because of Billy Martin. And he had said to me one year in spring training, we might not be swinging the bats well during the course of the season. Get into the latter parts of the game, I might want you to steal a run for me. And I said, yeah, what if I get hurt? He says, well, give the hitter a sign. Once the hitter answers the sign, that's when you can take off. You know, people say, well, weren't you afraid of getting hit? I said, one time, I had given Harmon Killebrew the sign, and he answered me, and I took off for home. As I'm sliding in, he almost swung the bat.
Ooh.
And he just kind of backed out, scared him, you know. So that's the only time that I've come close to getting beheaded.
You won 7 batting titles. You're a Hall of Famer, obviously. You played in 18 All-Star games. You won a Most Valuable Player award. But the honor that means the most to you, I'm told, is the Roberto Clemente Award, which symbolizes using your status as a ball player for community service.
Yes, and that's the first award I show people when they come into my home. Because I remember in 1968 All-Star game in Houston, I spoke to him and he said, the one thing that I want you to do is stay in touch with all the young Latin players when they come to the big leagues and try and help them out. And that's what I've tried to do. I'm bilingual, so it's kind of easy for me to do that. But learning from him, learning from Tony Oliva, and being around Harmon Killebrew, those are the guys that taught me how to be humble and not allow baseball to affect me.
Coming up, Rod Carew is waiting for a new heart, but that's not going to stop him from doing what he loves.
I heard that. You know, I heard that he wants to be in uniform. That'd be great.
It says a lot. Scares me.
His recovery's been fantastic. He's still not quite to his fighting weight, but he's close, and his activity level is better than what we would normally see in a patient.
18-time All-Star, 7 batting titles, over 3,000 career hits, in over 9,000 at-bats. Member of the Angels from 1979 to 85. Please give a warm Anaheim Ducks welcome to Hall of Famer, Rod Carew.
Are you looking forward to throwing out the first pitch at Target Field this year, to going back to Cooperstown, where I see you every summer this July to be with your fellow Hall of Famers? Is that on your
yes,
to-do list?
I'm looking forward to it. The thing that I'm looking forward to most is going to spring training.
So you feel like you'll be up to that?
Oh yeah, the drill instructor, my wife, has got me walking back and forth to make sure I get my legs in shape and get my breathing at its best, so that when I get down to Florida, I'll be okay.
I heard that. You know, I heard that he wants to be in uniform. That'd be great.
It says a lot. Scares me.
You know, that'll almost bring a tear to your eye. And I appreciate that. And if he's down there, he's certainly going to jump our energy level down at Fort Myers here in the very near future.
You know, it's emotional just thinking about it, you know, from what he's gone through and seeing, you know, what, you know, how he has been so determined to get through this event that, you know, many people don't.
We all got to ask ourselves the question, if we were Rod, I don't think I could be, you know, as tough and have as good attitude as he has.
He wants to be in spring training. He wants to be there. And I think that physically, when something happens, if your attitude is like Rod's attitude, it's going to be okay.
I'm really excited he's going to come down there. I don't expect him to come out there and be working in a cage for 2-3 hours at a time as he has in the past, but his presence is always very welcome in our clubhouse.
It's taken a lot on his part, a lot on the family's part, but I think when he steps on that grass, it's going to be a very emotional time for him.
People who remember you as a ball player, and then after that as sort of a baseball elder statesman, are always struck by the elegance with which you played, your composure, how calm you were, your dignity. And yet you yourself say that these days you become emotional pretty easily, right?
Very. And, you know, I don't know how many days I cried in the hospital. Every single day that I was in that hospital, I cried. And I'm not afraid, I'm not ashamed to say, you know, that I cried because I'm a man. And it's, oh, we're not supposed to. But, you know, things like this allow you to let those emotions go.
If someone is watching this now and says, what can I do, either for Rod Carew or in Rod Carew's name, what can they do? What do you need from them?
I would like both men and women to go out and get their hearts checked. They can go to any imaging place and make sure that you're okay. That's what's important to me right now. Even if I don't live another day, if they can hear those words and go out and do it so that they can live longer, that's all I care about. But remember what I said, please go get your hearts checked because it's very important.
If you want to have a big brother that did everything for you, that took care of you, that would be Rod Carew. You know, anything that he could do to help you, he would. Outstanding guy.
Great to see you, my friend, and enjoy the love of Twins fans.
Going back and reflecting on really where we were and how far he has come, that I realized that, oh my gosh, you know, so many things could have been different. I'm so thrilled that he feels good enough to go to Twins Fest, spring training, Cooperstown. It's, you know, it's nothing short of a miracle.
So far, you know, I had a checkup a couple of weeks ago, and they said you're doing fine. They said you're not sick, you know, so I went out on the golf course and tried to hit some balls. Got a little bit tired, but, you know, it felt good to be out there with the guys. And, you know, I'll say something, Bob, it's good to be alive.